Hello gobs and welcome back to another video. If you're not a gob, get subscribed and become a gob today. I upload both video game RPG and tabletop RPG content, such as talking, reviewing, sometimes I rant and other times I do this, reading RPG horror stories. I'm going to keep the intro short. I hope you're enjoying the TTRPG room. I got an empty shelf. I'm sure I'll put some type of memorabilia up or something. I don't know. I'm trying out something new. I want some new backgrounds, spice up things. I got some new expressions. But I hope you guys are enjoying everything. Okay, I don't draw the artwork to look good. I draw it to look freaky fresh or something. I don't know what I'm going about. But anyways, we have more RPG horror stories today. Hey, if you have your own story, you can email me down below or type it in the comments or send it to me on my Reddit. Do all of that if you want a chance for me to read your story, which I probably will right now. I mean, if you've seen the videos and you've seen the comments, you kind of know the state I'm currently at. But hey, leave a comment here because I have the notifications on my phone, so I'll get to it eventually, possibly. Regardless, as I always say, read the disclaimer at the beginning, and these may or may not be real. Even if they aren't, they still make great hypothetical situations to put yourself in, or to put me in, and to give advice about. So if you think they're real or think they're fake or whatever, type up a comment down below. And let's get into today's RPG horror stories. Our first story comes from Starman80. D&D player freaks out at DM for running an anime-themed game. This happened before we started the game in earnest. I had been lurking in this D&D Discord server for a couple months. In between games, people would share memes or talk about the game, etc. One of the forever DMs in the server decided to boot up a new game, so he began recruiting players and then got to make a channel. About 2 weeks later, we had our session 0. The premise was a chaotic world with multiple continents with different themes like lava, ice, shadow, desert, fade, tropical beach, rainforest, etc. We started out in a rainforest city ruled by a shogunate under attack from a vampire emperor that looked sort of like Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. DM also explained all the homebrew races he had for us, mostly from anime or mythology, especially Japanese mythology. He also homebrewed 3 classes along with the traditional ones. It was a Demon Hunter class, a Dark Summoner class, and a Vampiric Legion class. DM then showed us concept art he drew up for the world, and it had an unmistakable anime theme. It was sort of giving One Piece with some Final Fantasy vibes mixed in it too. DM explained this to us as we began creating our characters based on the forms that the DM gave us to help us make sense of some of the homebrew. I remember making this Kitsune barbarian who adopted into the Dragonborn clan from the Lava continent. As I was building my character, one of the players, I'll call him Jack, who had not said a word all session, piped up and said, "Wow, a lot of weird anime stuff in this campaign." DM just said, "Yep, that's what I was going for." And then he kept on as he began to explain the gods, spirits, religions, philosophies of the world, and their buffs so we could pick one, but then Jack interrupted and said, "I thought this was D&D. DM said, "No worries, it's still more or less 5e rules." And Jack said, "Yeah, right, 5e rules with Kitsune's, Demon Hunters, and Japanese clans and crap? What next, are we gonna have a Lolicon race?" Another player just kinda chuckled and said, "What the flip?" And DM said, "Okay, so clearly you have no idea what anime is. If you don't like the theme, you can play another campaign." He said, "Why are you getting so defensive?" Huh, typical Discord mod who probably has terabytes of little anime girls you swear are 10,000 years old. That's probably why you included the vampires too. A fairly high chance you're an ironic fascist too. And then DM banned him from the channel. DM was quiet for a second, so another player said, "Ignore that, Jack. I like your campaign idea." And then agreed and said, "Yeah, never thought I'd be able to say I played as a Kitsune barbarian with a Dragonborn stepdad." GM chuckled and made a joke about how crazy the Dragonborn are in this campaign. He then continued on and we started another session 0 exploration. The campaign is still ongoing and we are having a blast. Wow, that's one way to start out. Overall, I'm leaning towards a bit of fake with that last little section there, but I think the DM handled this quite well. Yeah, instead of like trying to give him a chance or whatever, just straight up, just ban him. Just be done with him. You're playing online, so if there's a person that you don't like and they're obviously being a disruptive individual, then just remove them. As for the story itself, I mean, it sounds like a fun setting. I'd be a bit weary about homebrew classes, but the homebrew races should be plenty fine. And I thought D&D 5e did have a kitsune race. I thought they did. Let me know in the comments if there's an actual, like, in-game kitsune. I forget the word for it, but instead of homebrew, it's like actually part of the game. I thought they had a kitsune race. I know Pathfinder 2e has a kitsune race. Okay, there's my Pathfinder 2e show. I haven't done that in a while. But overall, just I said it sounded a bit fake just because of the little last tidbit there. But overall, I think the DM handled this session quite well. Again, guys, if you have a disrupted player like this, since they're playing online, it's much easier for them to kick out, and I'm just doubling over my words. Okay, whatever. You get it, guys. Don't be a-holes, okay? If it's not your style campaign, then don't complain about it. Just move on to the next one, okay? Don't bother, like, poking holes or fun or whatever, complaining about it. Just say, hey, this game isn't for me, and move on. Just like we're moving on to our next story. Our next story comes from Effective COD 1482. I can't take my own turns during combat. This is a bit of a short and mild one, I think. My sister is a very smart person, really good at math, and a bit more experienced in some aspects of the game, but less experienced in others. But she sometimes struggles to break the older sister persona during RPG sessions. I'm fine outside of combat, but when there's combat, she will often tell me exactly what to do when it's my turn. Now you can go over there and attack that guy running away using skill XYZ, etc. I brought this up with her, but when I make my own decisions, she would say afterwards, you could have just done XYZ, or you should have done XYZ. Sometimes her suggestions are even something I would have done anyways, but it's the principle of it. It makes me feel like I can't play properly. Right now I'm playing a character that's canonically a bit stupid, so it doesn't make me feel as bad when I mess up. But TBH, I don't think I'm stupid. When I play with other people, I don't feel like this as much. One time I really tried to push a plan I had, but it didn't work out, and when I didn't say anything, she could sense I was disappointed. She said something like, see, if I help you, you get upset, but if I don't help you, you also get sad. We wanted to play again together soon, and I think I'll just have to try not to let it get to my ego, as long as she doesn't overdo it. How did you guys handle similar situations? Edit. Thank you everyone for all the replies. I didn't respond to everyone, but I did read all the comments. I'll talk to her about it the next time we play together. If that doesn't work, we'll agree to play something else. Perfect decision, LP. Most thing you can do in this situation is just talk about it. If the behavior continues, then yeah, play something else. It's still your sister after all. Just because you guys can't play RPGs together doesn't mean you can't hang out together. It just means you guys weren't fit to play the same RPG together. Nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't work out for everyone. So yeah, talking it out, like I said, is always probably the best thing you can do. And yeah, that is super controlative. Those little remarks would probably set me off. You could have just done XYZ. It's a tabletop RPG. Usually it's not that serious. So yeah, even if there's a more efficient way or more something, if they are doing what they want to do and they are having fun, then just let them do it. It doesn't matter if it's the wrong decision or if it's the unoptimal decision, as long as they're not like actively trying to disrupt the party, like a murder hobo or something, then I think it's fairly fine to make mistakes. Or even other times, the dice doesn't always roll in your favor, so sometimes you can't control it. You just gotta let people play. Just let people control the characters. Just let people play the game. So at the end of the day, talk it out. If it doesn't work out, play something else. And we are going to move on to our next story. Our next story comes from Where Badger. Player thinks he can solve racism with a shopping montage. Bigotry warning. This was in a homebrew 5e campaign, pitched as a serious and roleplay heavy with a common friend group of people in their mid to late 20s. DM told us ahead of character creation that, for lore reasons, certain reasons would probably face racism in this setting, and recommended we only create a character of those races if we were up for role-playing that. In particular, he told us orcs and half-orcs would face extreme racism. One player, a white man like most of the group, made a half-orc named Throwbar, choosing the race mostly because he wanted the racial traits for a specific character build. So guys, I have a video coming out, I'm not sure when, but it will be touching up on darker themes such as racism and other prejudices. But this is a good way of starting it out. If you need to have those themes in your campaign, I mean, racism pretty much shows up a lot in fantasy settings just because of all the diverse and many races that most worlds tend to have. But this is a good way, letting your players know before they make their characters that they'll face some sort of prejudice for playing said race. Now, does this person absolutely need to play this race just because he wants the racial traits? I can kind of get it. You want to optimize, I guess, and make the best build, quotation marks. If you know me, I don't like builds. I feel like you should make a character first before you make a build, especially in a roleplay heavy and serious campaign. I think you should try to aim more for a character rather than picking something just based on the racial traits. That's just a personal thing. Like I said, I can get it. Sometimes you want to do a certain character idea and then the race doesn't really matter. And there's just races that just have better traits for it. But again, guys, always make a character if that's that type of campaign. Sometimes you're playing like a meat grinder where narratively the character doesn't matter and you have to have like good builds in order to get through it. Not fun for me, but I can see why people have fun with it. Back to the story. The game starts, and a few sessions in, the party encounters a group of soldiers on the road. The soldiers become immediately suspicious of the party because we're traveling with a half-orc and make a few racist comments. Thorobor is shocked as if he's never encountered bigotry before in his life. He tries to argue the captain out of being racist, but he only succeeds in aggravating him more. The captain demands the party hands over their weapons and makes it clear that there will be a fight if we don't. Before we can even discuss the situation, Thorobor decides, well, I guess I attack him, forcing all of us into combat that our level 3 characters probably can't win. It would have been a TPK, except the DM was merciful and had the soldiers incapacitate and arrest us instead of killing. Once we managed to get out of trouble, Thorobor, like the rest of us, wanted to make sure something like that didn't happen again. His solution? In the next town, he went shopping for new clothes to make him look less threatening. The entire party sat for about an hour while he picked out a salmon polo shirt and commissioned a pair of purely aesthetic glasses, thinking that the outfit would somehow make people less racist. The rest of us were making jokes about how dumb the idea was, but it didn't stop him. He really thought he could model minority his way out of racism. The next time Thorobor encountered discrimination, he reminded the DM about his new outfit and asked if it made a difference. The DM simply said no and kept going. Well, first of all, if it wasn't going to make a difference, then the DM should have said something about it to keep the story moving. Again, we had the issue last time where the party sat around for about an hour and nothing came of it. So here, the party once again sitting for an hour for him to design an outfit that probably isn't going to work. It's okay to tell your players, like, hey, I appreciate the creativity, but that's probably not going to work. It's okay to tell your players that to keep the story moving. And him thinking he could just model out racism. Yeah, I probably would say that wouldn't work. And once again, him picking a half-orc kind of, they were all warned about the racism. So him being surprised that the race that he picked, that people are racist against, are now suddenly racist against him. It's kind of on his fault. Like, again, should the DM have this kind of intense racism? I mean, I don't know their reasoning for it, but for the most part, I'm assuming there's an extremely valid reason. I would hope there's a valid reason, but again, he warned the player beforehand, and now the player's suddenly surprised that the racism that he was warned about is now showing up. Almost immediately, too. Like, come on, DM, cut him some type of slack, I guess. But again, they were warned about it beforehand, so. And again, he's kind of just egging it on by immediately attacking when I don't think they were, at least the way the LP's describing, the guards weren't necessarily going to attack them. Let's finish this story. This same player managed to take 2 different campaigns that I ran as a DM, and now a good portion of the friend group refuses to play with him at all. But those are different stories. Edit for clarification. People seem to be getting this idea that the campaign was just about racism. I didn't talk about the other things that happened in the campaign because why would I include stuff that's not relevant to the story? Most characters we met didn't even mention his race, and the ones that were racist did not prevent him from doing anything plot crucial. It was just made things more difficult, exactly like he was warned ahead of time. So yeah, if you're going to have this type of racism, I think the DM handled it pretty well in the party. I mean, he talked about it with his players. He let his players know. It wasn't sprung on the players suddenly, and from now what we know from what the OP added, not every character in the game was racist, which is a good way of handling it. If you're going to have racism, if you absolutely need to have it, warn the players and try to keep it to a minimum. And again, here, the DM did not let it block the character from doing plot crucial thing. Very good. But that'll be it for our stories today. Did you enjoy them? Would you have done things differently? Maybe you have something else to say entirely. Let me know in the comments below. I read most, if not all, the comments, and I try to reply to anybody that asks questions or anything of the sorts. Now it's time for my usual social media plugins. I have Twitter/X. If you use that platform and you want to see whenever I upload videos, I put every video I upload, I share it there. And I'm starting to post more thoughts throughout the day that I have. And then if you want to send me something directly or write your own story, you can also send it to me on Reddit. There, I have a Reddit as well. And that is it. Make sure if you want to see more of this type of TTRPG content, or if you want to see something different, then let me know. But if you want to keep seeing this, go ahead and subscribe. Like I said, you get to become a gob and run around in the Goblin Cave. So, I hope you guys have a lop of a day, and may your adventures be free from terrible people. Remember guys, when in doubt, talk it out.